Hi ladies. In this video, I want to talk about why in the world we're gaining weight and tired and grouchy and having these hot flashes and night sweats during perimenopause and menopause. What is happening to our bodies? I feel like this hasn't been talked about enough. And the reason for this is that women just haven't been studied in the medical world until kind of just recently. Our bodies make it a little bit more challenging to study because we have periods, we have pregnancies, we go through menopause, and that's a topic that has been studied the least. But the good news is, over the past 5 to 10 years, we have been starting to see more and more research and more science behind menopause years and what's happening to our bodies to cause the weight gain, but also more importantly, what can we do to lose it? Okay, so what we're noticing, and this can start in our 30s, most often in our 40s, that we start to see estrogen and progesterone levels starting to decline. Okay, we're starting to see perimenopause hit earlier and earlier. So some poor women in their mid-30s are starting to feel these symptoms. Okay, but the average age of menopause is 51. This is actually defined for not having a period for 1 full year. Okay, but you can be perimenopausal for like 3 to 12 years prior to menopause even happening. So some of us lucky women will have all these perimenopausal symptoms for maybe 12 years. And then sometimes women will still struggle for even 5 years after their periods stop with a lot of these symptoms before these symptoms typically resolve for most women, not every woman. But what is happening? So as we approach this midlife journey, our estrogen and progesterone levels are slowly declining, okay? But they don't decline like a sharp line on a graph. They actually start to go down, and then they'll spit up a little bit and go down and spit up a little bit. That's why month to month, our cycles start to change. We might have more hot flashes and night sweats one month versus more mood swings another month. It's because these hormones aren't just going down consistently every month. They're just taking their time and sometimes spitting out more hormones than others. So month to month, your symptoms can look different. Just add that to the list, right? Just not even knowing what to expect. But the weight gain actually is coming because our cortisol and our insulin levels start to rise during perimenopause, because the estrogen and progesterone levels are declining. And it's that rise in cortisol and insulin that causes us to store our weight. So if you're like me and have just tried about everything that used to work for you, that you've tried a diet program, you've tried exercising more, you've tried cutting back on calories, and none of that is working anymore, it's because our body's composition is changing too. So as we're going through perimenopause and menopause, our muscle mass, we can lose 10 to 30% of our muscle mass during this time frame. Who has noticed that their arms are a little bit flabbier, their legs are a little bit flabbier? It's because we're losing our muscle mass. So we need to understand some of those changes in order to understand that our body needs different foods during this time, because if we keep eating like we did in our 20s and 30s, that weight is just going to store and store and store. And that causes that visceral fat around our belly. That visceral fat is not healthy for us. That's what the fat is deeper in our organs inside our body, and increases our risk for diabetes, heart disease, different cancers. So we don't want to see this extra visceral fat or belly fat that we commonly see during perimenopause. So the ways that we can look at changing this. So when I went through my PA training and PA school, and same thing with doctors as they went through medical school years ago, there has been no education on nutrition and foods, and it's very limited, okay? So unfortunately, when I would see patients in the clinic, and I would see women for years and years, over 20 years I've been practicing as a PA, but I would see I see a lot of women. I really have a focus on women's health, and I have worked in a medically managed weight loss clinic through the years as well. So I would see these women that would come to me in their 40s and 50s, and they would say, Nicole, I am tired. I am gaining all this weight, and that's on top of having the hot flashes and night sweats and mood swings. So, of course, what I knew was to say, go exercise more and go eat less. But these women were already doing that. They were already doing everything we knew that had worked for them in the past. That's what they were doing, and it wasn't working this time around. And then, usually in the clinic setting, I would check their labs, and their labs all come back normal. And I call them and say, everything looks fine. Just try a little bit harder, or eat a little bit less, or exercise a little bit more, right? But that now we know that that's actually the wrong advice. Like that is what we used to know because we didn't know a whole lot. The research wasn't there. Thankfully, women have been studied a lot more in the last 5 to 10 years, especially around menopause, where we know not only what is causing this weight gain, but what we can do about it, okay? And it wasn't until that time, a few years ago, that I really dug into all of this exciting research that finally is starting to be talked about a little bit more, but it's not in medical training, right? So when I see women that struggle with weight gain during perimenopause, at least now I have an answer. And at least now I can start to help them dial in on the foods that they're eating to adjust that to accommodate for weight loss. And it is different during this phase in our life. And until it all was happening to me, now I could completely understand the struggles and the frustration that we have during perimenopause. But the key is when we're looking at how our body is changing, we're also seeing some more insulin resistance happening through these times as well. So in order to accommodate for weight loss, we do need to change our foods. We need to increase our healthy fats, avocado, nuts, seeds. We need to increase those healthy fats in what we're eating and knock down those carbs. Not a keto diet. Keto diets are actually inflammatory. We know that during these perimenopause and menopause years that we have extra inflammation in our bodies. It also makes our joints hurt and feel stiff, and it makes us feel tired and sluggish. So we want to eat healthy, real foods that are decreasing our inflammation in our body. And in fact, with my clients, we work on getting into macros just a little bit. I used to think, what in the world was a macro? Like, how do I adjust a macro? But I've been surprised that it's actually super easy to get into what you're eating every day and adjust the macro settings to allow for more fats, less carbs, and keeping the proteins about the same. That's the key to seeing weight loss in perimenopause, because the foods that we eat now have to be different than the foods that we ate in our 20s and 30s. Okay, so hopefully this has helped you to clarify what's happening to your bodies and what are the steps you can do to lose the weight. And it's not just simply eat less and move more. That's not the case. You want to actually build more muscle mass. So ladies, if you don't have weights, invest in a little bit of money and get some 5-pound, 10-pound dumbbells and start lifting weights. That is more important than aerobic exercise during this phase in your life. And look at the foods you're eating. How can you cut out all those extra carbs and sugars? Because right now your body's going to store it. It seems like you look at it and you just gain. So you want to cut that out of what you're eating and incorporate more healthy fats. How can you do that in your day-to-day life? But you can do it. And I've been excited to work with clients and help them and see their progress. So if you are ready to lose the weight with support, to also work on the mindset and focus to keep the weight off going further, then reach out to me, let me know, schedule a call. It's a free 30-minute consult call that I can ask you what your biggest weight loss goals are, where you're getting stuck, and walk you through some of those initial steps to get you on your way to losing weight. I also have a 16-week health coaching program set up that you will see weight loss and then support for 6 months to a year following to make sure that this weight stays off for you. So if that's something you're interested in, schedule a call with me. Otherwise, come follow me on Facebook. I have a very exciting, positive community of other women going through the same journey. And that's one thing, when you're going through weight loss, you want to surround yourself with other women that are doing the same thing and going through the same struggles. Also, keeping it positive and encouraging. This is the group that I would love for you to come join. It's called Weight Loss for Midlife Women. So check that group out over in Facebook. We would love to have you. So good luck on your weight loss journey. You can do this. This is not your new normal. You can change it. Good luck, ladies.